Hi, I'm Ewan,
And I'm Sarah.
and this is
Popcorn and Cumin, a transatlantic dive into film and media.
with a healthy side of unrelated nonsense.
Hello, and welcome to Popcorn and Cumin Holiday Edition and Digital Edition. This is our first time recording remotely because we are on other continents, other sides of the world. And it was also our first 2-week hiatus. We've been giving you episodes every single week, you lucky listeners, but since it was the holidays and we were apart, we were unable to record. But now here we are, and you have been answering our call to
Arms.
to vote on our Christmas bracket, the Battle of the Christmas Movies. And we have a final result, which hopefully you know by now, but maybe you don't. Ewan, do you want to tell them what the final result is?
We ended up with a final of Elf versus Love Actually, and Elf won. I think the vote ended up being somewhat close, as in it was like 60 to 40%. So closer or not as close as a Brexit, and not as close as Scottish independence, but still fairly close.
Yeah, it was 67% to 33%. Some of our closest... Well, so we tried to set up the bracket so that we thought the first round would have some easy wins, and then it would get more and more sort of contentious as the rounds went on. But actually, our closest face-offs were mostly in the first round, which means that we just have different opinions about Christmas movies than some other people seem to.
Yeah, I think also something I've maybe learned through discussing with people who were voting was that as much as people might have like a couple core Christmas movies, the sort of nature of the holiday means that specific people have sort of specific favorites, but that doesn't necessarily mean they've seen all of the Christmas movies, even if they are popular. And I would say, give or take, we did manage to sort of select the most popular movies that most people would have seen, but not everyone had seen everything.
Okay, so for those of you who do not know what we're talking about, on the Popcorn and Cumin Instagram, we set up a Christmas movie bracket where we basically pit Christmas movies against each other in a tournament-style bracket situation with 4 rounds of voting, I believe, and 16 different Christmas movies. So people would vote on our Instagram story and to see who goes through to the next round until we get to the final round, in which, as we just said, Elf beat Love Actually. But now we're going to go through some of the other movies and talk about ones that maybe we think were eliminated before their time, or maybe we think should have been eliminated earlier, or anything like that. So, without further ado... Oh, actually, there is further ado. The further ado is that we have to talk about UK versus U.S. Christmas tradition. So, I will start. No, I won't start. You start.
Well, our difference is that in the UK there's a more of an appreciation for the wonderful invention of Christmas pudding, which is laughed out the room in the US because Americans have no taste.
Excuse me. So the Christmas pudding is not even really a thing in the US. Although, according to the internet, it's the same thing as figgy pudding, which most Americans I know have heard of figgy pudding from We Wish You a Merry Christmas, you know, oh, bring us some figgy pudding, that part. But nobody knows what figgy pudding really is. And it is Christmas pudding, which is a UK thing. And, oh wait, what is Christmas pudding?
Not to be confused.
Yeah, but those are different things, right?
Yeah. Well, Christmas pudding is kind of like a boiled, I think, sort of fruit-based dessert or pudding. Sometimes you have like there's like a 20p or 5p that gets put through it for luck. Whoever gets like that in their slice, it's meant to be lucky.
Wouldn't someone choke on that?
But you just have to be careful. You don't want to gorge like an ogre or a troll. I feel like that's often sort of served with like custard. Or at least that's in my experience it has been because it can be a little bit dry.
Is that basically fruit cake?
It's not really like cakey in the same way as like Christmas cake because it's kind of more like moist inherently than Christmas cake, which is more like baked, so that all the moisture is gone.
Christmas pudding is a boiled cake made with dried fruit and soaked in aged alcohol, and it's often served on flambe or on fire.
Hmm. Not sure if I've ever had it on fire.
Well, that's what the internet says. But Christmas cake is like our fruit cake.
Yeah, except it has a layer of marzipan on top and then a layer of like hard icing on top of the marzipan.
Because it's kind of a joke in the US that fruitcake is kind of what you get during the holidays that you just immediately throw in the trash because it's so bad.
Which I don't know, maybe the recipe's slightly different, but I think it's nice. I'd sooner eat fruitcake than many sorts of cake.
I don't like fruit in my cake, so I'm
Yeah,
on
I
board
mean
with
you're
the
the
whole
probably the
fruit cake
worst
is
person to
gross.
have any sort of objective opinion because you don't like any fruit in any sort of desserts. You're very particular in that sense.
Yes, I will have fruit on the side. I like fruit, but I don't like it baked into things. I think it's a gross texture and bleh.
Do you like banana bread?
Yeah, but not if there's chunks of banana in it. It's the chunks of fruit that really do not sit well with me. Okay, is it my turn?
Yep.
So, a British tradition, kind of tradition. There's two. Can I say two?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, there's the Christmas cracker, which does exist in the United States, but it's definitely not as prevalent. And our family would always do crackers, which, crackers are where you grab the ends and you pull it apart. And then there's,
An explosion.
yes, it explodes, which is why I tried to buy some and they ID'd me because you can't buy explosives if you're under 18 or something. In the UK, that happened. But they explode, and then there's a paper crown that everyone puts on, and usually a joke, a Christmas themed joke or pun, and sometimes other little treats if you splurge on the fancy Christmas crackers. But in the UK, you usually have them, I think, before or after Christmas dinner, and it's like a big sort of battle of the Christmas crackers because you only get what's inside of it if your end is the big end. Anyway, they're much more prevalent in the UK and people don't really do them in the US. My other one is in the UK, they have things called pantomimes, usually during the holiday season, right?
Yeah, really exclusively during the holiday season. I'm not sure if that's traditionally like always been the case, but that's where they always seem to happen these days.
Yeah.
Because the actual performances aren't really often anything to do with Christmas, but that's just when they're hosted.
Right. Well, Ewan, can you explain for the American listeners what a pantomime is? Because it actually has nothing to do with a mime.
Yeah, so a pantomime is like a light-hearted theatrical performance, typically of a children's story slash nursery rhyme. So you might have a performance of Snow White or Sleeping Beauty or um, Aladdin. I think I've seen things to that effect. However, there's a couple sort of key tropes. Is that typically the main characters in the story in the pantomime story are not the same as the main characters in the story. So, for instance, I used to go really every year to a pantomime in Edinburgh at the King's Theatre, and they would have a sort of core three cast members, which would be made up of a guy called Alan Stewart who would always play a female character or a female presenting character, and the idea is that this is a sort of universal pantomime thing, is that it would be female characters played by a man or a cis man or something in drag, then there would typically be this character's love interest, which was played by a guy who I think has now passed away, unfortunately, called Andy Gray, who was a kind of like down on his luck sort of character. And then they would be up against a guy called Grant Scott, who would always play the villain, sometimes in drag, sometimes not. So I think he played like Captain Hook in some performances, or like in a performance of Peter Pan. But then he also played like the evil queen in Sleeping Beauty, I think. Um,
Yeah, is that the one that we saw? Because we saw Sleeping Beauty
mhm,
together, right?
I think
At
so.
the
Yeah,
King's Theater.
yeah.
It was a cultural experience, I would say. I don't think I've ever really seen anything quite like it.
So there's a lot of crowd or audience engagement in a pantomime where, and because there's a lot of children there, it's really they're relying on it sort of engagement from children. So the villain will probably say something like, "Oh yes, I am," and then the audience is meant to come back with a chorus of, "Oh no, you're not,"
Oh
and
no,
then
you're not!
yeah, and then the villain will then go back, "Oh yes, I am," and then it sort of goes back and forth for a while between the villain and the audience. Then there'll typically be a scene where the heroes are looking around for the villain and aren't able to see them because they keep looking left while the villain is stepping to their right.
He's behind
Yeah, and
you!
then the audience will shout, "He's behind you." Yeah, those are sort of some of the key things of a pantomime. When I was saying that the characters I was describing wouldn't be the main characters, so in Aladdin, the main guy or Alan Stewart's character, the man in drag, would be playing like Aladdin's mum, and she would probably have the majority of the lines instead of Aladdin, who's kind of like the story is about Aladdin and Princess Jasmine defeating Jafar, but he's probably not actually on stage that much, which is kind of interesting. Um, but
Yeah.
I mean, they're definitely an interesting idea. But I would definitely recommend someone going to see a pantomime and deciding if it's something they like or not.
Yeah, I would say I had mixed feelings about it.
Well, it's quite similar, I would say, to your sort of peak Pixar movies and DreamWorks movies, where it's like clearly aimed at children, but there's sort of more adult humor that kids won't necessarily get, but adults would still be engaged by. And the ones in Edinburgh would also be funny because there would be a lot of like localized humor about local politics and struggles with the
Yeah.
Edinburgh Council.
And local sports teams, right?
Yeah, so the two sports teams in Edinburgh are Heart of Midlothian and Hibernian.
The Hibs and the Hearts.
Yeah, and Grant Scott is a big Hibs fan, so then there'd be a lot of like jokes in the performance where he'd end up having to wear a Hearts top. But yeah, and there'd be other like local humor. So for years in Edinburgh, there was this tram line that was trying to get built, and it kept getting delayed and stuff. And there'd be jokes about how something might happen faster than the tram's getting built and things, and everyone would be laughing and then crying when they realized they couldn't get back home from the pantomime on the tram because it still wasn't built.
Well, the trams are built, aren't they?
No, they are now. Yeah, there's one tram line, and it's more expensive than a bus. But it's very good if you're trying to go to one specific place on that tram line.
The airport.
Yeah, it's handy then.
My mom was driving in Edinburgh, and she normally would drive on the right side, and she was driving on the left side. And well, she couldn't figure out why someone was honking and honking behind her. And then she realized, oh my gosh, I'm in the tram lane and there was a tram coming, but she got out of the way. And so it was a happy ending.
Yay!
But anyway, those are some sort of holiday tradition differences between the UK and the US. There are a lot that are the same, but we don't need to talk about those.
And if we forgot anything, please feel free to let us know, and we will maybe mention it, or we'll ignore you.
Probably the first one though. So, let's start talking about the first round of the bracket. So, in round 1 on the left side, we had eliminated The Holiday and Die Hard and The Snowman and A Christmas Story. Now, somewhat, in my opinion, shockingly. So the holiday was facing off against It's a Wonderful Life, and this was the biggest, most exciting thing to happen is that they tied. And they didn't just tie because I voted for one, you voted for the other. Okay, people actually voted, and it was a big old tie.
Wait, did you vote for the holiday?
No,
So we both voted for It's Wonderful Life.
yeah.
Okay.
So I watched both of those movies this year, and the holiday is like good. It's
Is it?
fine, you know? It's like a nice rom-com holiday movie. But It's a Wonderful Life. It's about the meaning of life, and it's the meaning of Christmas, and it's such a good movie.
From a film
I just don't
criticism perspective, I
understand.
think you'd be hard pressed to say if It's a Wonderful Life is there's any better movies than that on the bracket.
Yeah,
You could maybe make an
I
argument
agree.
for a couple, and The Holiday to me was just an average rom com with actually some questionable things in it, which I wasn't crazy about. So if I was to be
Yeah.
doing a tier list, it's probably coming in on the D tier, whereas It's a Wonderful Life is probably coming on an S tier. So the fact they were drawing in our poll was really a travesty.
Yeah, it was. And It's a Wonderful Life has quite a history with my family because every year my mom would want us all to watch It's a Wonderful Life with her. And because we are asshole children, we would all refuse to watch it with her. Because we were, well, especially when we were kids, we were like, I don't want to watch this boring black and white movie and blah, blah, blah. But then 3 years ago, I finally watched it with her, and I cried. I bawled my eyes out in the last scene, and then I started really liking it. And now I watch it with her every year while we wrap presents. And I mean, there are parts of it that I don't like as much, and now I can't remember what those are. But I just think it has a really nice message about what's
Probably the bit when
important
he
in
takes
life.
her clothes away and then doesn't give them back to her.
Oh, I don't like that part. No, I don't like that part. But yeah, it has a really important meaning about, even though he didn't get to go travel and go have, he had all these ambitions that he wasn't able to fulfill, but that doesn't mean that his life doesn't have meaning. You can have a completely ordinary life and still have a huge impact on other people's lives that you may not even know about. And I don't know, I just think that's like a really good message. And, versus what's the message in the holiday?
Yeah, well, I mean, he was the richest man in Bedford Falls, which is what it says at the end, despite not having any money
Yeah.
because of all his friends.
But actually, at the end, he does have a lot of money because they all bring him money.
Interesting bit of trivia is that Bedford Falls is twinned with a town in the Scottish Borders where I'm from.
Oh, is that a real place?
I'm not really sure what the story is behind it, but that is definitely a thing, and you can read an article about it on the Scotsman if you type in "It's a Wonderful Life in Bergen."
What? That's really cool.
Yeah, whereas the holiday I thought was a sort of flabby,
Flabby.
unnecessarily long rom com with some questionable choices when it came to consent and unnecessary and extra plot lines. It kind of felt like they were trying to do something like Love Actually, but unable to create anywhere near as compelling stories with even more time focused on the characters.
Yeah. I think especially the relationship between Jack Black and who's the other person?
Kate Winslet, yeah, it was completely unnecessary, and it sort of felt like it
Yeah.
was anti antithetical to Kate Winslet's character development, and it just sort of seemed like, oh, because we're trying to do Love Actually, she needs to actually also have a romantic interest in this movie, even though,
Yeah, but she could have just been buds with the old man. That would have
yeah,
been
yeah,
fine.
exactly. Um, so yeah, I wasn't crazy about the holiday. It was okay, but I was happy to see it be eliminated in the first round.
Yes, but barely. We had to have an extra.
A tiebreaker. Yeah.
Yeah, tiebreaker. Another one that, let me see how close it was. So I haven't seen Die Hard, but Ewan has, and I know there's lots of debate as to whether or not it is a Christmas movie, which is probably why it lost, is because people thought that it wasn't, and it lost to The Nightmare Before Christmas, which I think is also debatable whether it's more of a Christmas movie probably than Die Hard. But what is your opinion on Die Hard? Is it a Christmas movie?
So I think I voted for Die Hard, even though I like Nightmare Before Christmas more, because I thought Die Hard was going to lose, and I wanted to make it more interesting. Die Hard is set at Christmas. Die Hard set an office Christmas party, and I think kind of thematically there's ideas about the true meaning of Christmas not being about sort of capitalistic greed and things like that. So I think you could definitely make a compelling argument for it being a Christmas movie. Um, I'm not sure if it's something I would die on the hill over if someone was to vehemently disagree with that,
Would you
but
die hard on the hill over it, though?
yeah, maybe I would do that. Whereas A Nightmare Before Christmas is one of my favorite movies, but I was initially very strong on my opinion that that is a Christmas movie or should be considered as such, and now I don't really care so much about the discussion, so
Oh,
I've
hey.
tempered on that.
Okay. Listen, I care about this discussion. And because The Nightmare Before Christmas, A Nightmare Before Christmas, The Nightmare Before Christmas, right? It's a Halloween movie or it's a Christmas movie. Yeah, okay, it's kind of both. Kinda.
Disclaimer:
But
there's no such thing as a Halloween movie in the UK because we don't really care about Halloween.
no, you do. You do now. There's tons of Halloween things nowadays, at least in London. But anyway, The Nightmare Before Christmas is all about
Discovering
Halloween
Christmas,
Town. No, 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 no. First of all, the vibe is all spooky.
apart from when
There's
they go to Christmas
no,
Town.
not really though. It's still creepy cuz it's bloody Tim Burton kinda. Who
No,
does creepy
what's creepy
stuff?
during the What's This song?
The animation style is
Uh,
creepy.
you just don't like stop motion. You say it's creepy regardless.
Ti all of Tim Burton's stuff is creepy and weird. That's like his whole thing.
Yeah, I don't disagree that is his thing. The first Batman movie's not that creepy and weird.
Even when the people of Halloween Town are trying to do Christmas, they're doing it wrong, so everything is still creepy. So they're
Because they
trying to
don't
learn the Christmas
understand.
songs, but they're all like minor.
Because they don't
Yeah,
understand the true
exactly.
meaning of Christmas. And Jack
But
learns
they
it.
never do. What the lesson of what the lesson of the movie is, what he learns in the end, is that he should just go back to doing what he was doing, which is Halloween.
Well, he learns it's not about scaring people. He learns that
No,
what he
he
was
doesn't.
trying.
He just lets.
Well, he thinks he can improve. He thinks I can improve it too, and that's exactly what I'll do. But he decides, actually, in the end, I can't do it. I didn't improve it. I ruined everything. So I need to give Santa.
Exactly. So he doesn't learn the true meaning of Christmas. He learns that we should all just stick to our little boxes of what we do
He
best.
learns that the true meaning of Christmas is not doing it his way, which is scaring people with weird toys. And then he feels bad and he saves Santa. That happens in other Christmas movies, probably. I think part of my reasoning for not wanting it to be classed as a Halloween movie is because when things are set at Christmas, like I don't really want to watch anything that has anything to do with Christmas at any period that isn't December. So that's why I'm kind of hesitant to be like I think I would rather watch something that has things that are less Christmassy but with some Christmas flavor to it at Christmas than the reverse, where I'd watch something that is more like less Christmassy but still mentions Christmas and not at Christmas.
Okay. That makes sense to your brain, so that's good. Well, anyway, Nightmare Before Christmas it beat Die Hard and then it lost to It's a Wonderful Life because that's a much more Christmassy movie. Probably.
Yeah, well, I'm happy with that. I was happy with that
Okay.
decision.
Okay, the Snowman lost to Elf, which I think is fair.
Yeah, although I did watch The Snowman, and I do think it's very well done, and I really like the animation style. I know some people aren't really crazy about the "We're Walking in the Air" music that plays, but to be honest, I wouldn't have been too bothered if the Snowman had beaten Elf.
Okay, wow. I think Ewan is just kind of bitter because he didn't think Elf should win, and so now he's gonna pretend like he doesn't like Elf as much as he
No,
does.
I do like Elf, but it's like a solid like 7 out of 10 movie for me. And a winner of our Christmas
Okay,
bracket,
that's
I don't think
decent.
that makes shouldn't be a 7.
Well, well, on the Ewan scale, what is 7?
Good,
8 is great.
yeah,
7
good.
is good. Okay, and so then Home Alone beat A Christmas Story.
No surprise, no
And
surprise there.
no, based on our demographic, that is not surprising at all. I don't think A Christmas Story really made it over to the UK.
No,
And even in the US, I think it is mostly enjoyed by perhaps middle aged people and older, and also my sister.
so would your sister vote for it over Home Alone?
I don't know. I don't know. I think she either has already done or is going to do a defense of it, or someone in my family is going to give you all a little defense of A Christmas Story, because personally, I really do not like that movie. I do not like being forced to watch it, and I think the kid is annoying. I don't think it's very funny. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just in the wrong generation, or maybe it's more of a Midwestern type vibe, but
Yeah, I mean it was always going to be hard pressed to beat Home Alone because Home Alone's great.
true.
I haven't seen A Christmas Story, and I also don't really have any interest in watching it. But maybe I'm sure I'll watch it at some point. Well, that's
Yeah.
really because Sarah, we speak a lot, and you've voiced nothing but displeasure and hatred for it. So
I also watched it as a kid and I found the like you'll shoot your eye out. There's a part where some kind of witches say that to him and it really freaked me out. I think the whole movie just kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies for some reason. I just get an ick feeling when I think about it. I don't get a happy Christmassy feeling. But someone might give you a nicer opinion about it in this episode. So, okay, let's go through the other side of the bracket. In the first round, Miracle on what street is it?
34th Street.
34th Street got eliminated, along with Rudolph and Gremlins and the Polar Express. Now, let me express my brief anger for you all eliminating Rudolph in the first round to Nativity? What is that? What is that?
Sarah hasn't seen Nativity, and I think probably this was an example of a American versus UK, because I'm not sure if that Rudolph movie is that well known in the UK, and Nativity is like a
Mm-hmm.
very like British movie, like it's a British made movie. Um, I don't think Nativity is very good, and
Ooh.
I don't think, and I like Rudolph a bit, so I think I voted for Rudolph, but I don't think I would have seen it
Bumbles
had I not.
bounce.
I don't think I would have seen Rudolph had I not had some exposure to the transatlantic culture. So I'm not entirely surprised that Nativity went through.
Well, I think it was basically this one was Americans versus British people. So I guess we learned that more British people listen to
Religious.
our podcast. Oh, or are religious, that's true. But there's Rudolph and Santa Claus is coming to town for you British people out there, which are two which Ewan says I don't like stop motion, but I like these. And they're two sort of classic claymation stop motion
Hmm.
movies that have some wonderful songs in them. They are musicals
And some last good song.
and some boring songs, it's true, and some trippy songs in Santa Claus is Coming to Town. But Rudolph is, well, at least for us, we that's one that we would watch basically every Christmas. So it just has a special place in my heart, and you all took my heart and you crushed it with a hammer. So thank you.
Yeah, I didn't really think Santa Claus is Coming to Town was that good, but that wasn't even here. So
Rude. Very rude. Okay, do you want to talk about any of the other ones that got eliminated?
well, Miracle on 34th Street, we used the image of the remake, but I think I've only seen the original, and I don't think the remake is that well liked. But so I'm not sure if people necessarily would have voted based
Mm,
on that one, or if, although I'm not really surprised Love Actually. I think Love Actually probably would have beaten it either way.
yeah. And it made it to the finals.
Yeah.
So,
Um, Gremlins, I guess, is another one like Die Hard, where it's sort of arguable if it's a Christmas movie or not. Although it is set at Christmas, and the whole premise is that he's giving out
yeah.
Gremlin for Christmas.
Yeah. I guess there's just not super well, there's Christmassy stuff. Like the Gremlins play with a
They go
bunch of Christmas
caroling.
decorations,
Gremlins
right?
go caroling.
They do. I don't remember
I
that.
think that happens.
That's so funny. I remember really liking that movie, thinking the Gremlins were very sometimes cute, sometimes creepy, sometimes hilarious.
So I like Gremlins. I wouldn't have. I think I vote for Muppets over it though. And
Yeah, you love the Muppets.
Polar Express, which I was happy to see go out in the first round because it's weird. I just watched a making of Polar Express, and I didn't realize like Tom Hanks does the motion capture for literally every single character. It's bizarre. Like all the
That's really
children and
weird.
stuff, he's doing like the motion capture for.
What?
Yeah, I'm not sure if he does every voice or that he was just like imitating the voices, but I mean that's too much. Here's the real hot take coming. Tom Hanks is overrated. Um, he's a good actor
Ooh.
and he's in good movies, but almost every movie he's in is overrated. Forrest Gump's overrated. Saving Private Ryan's overrated. Philadelphia's overrated. I watched a bit of Castaway last night and it looked melodramatic rubbish. I haven't seen it before. He was the worst part of Elvis,
Oh my god.
and I do like his movies, just for the record. And he's good in Toy Story, but I think
What about
every
When Harry Met Sally?
the Green Mile's overrated. He's not in that. You're thinking of uh, You've Got Mail, which is rubbish.
Oh, I am thinking of You've Got Mail. No, it wasn't that bad, was it? It's
It
a
was terrible.
bookstore. It was good. Oh,
You've Got Mail is probably the
I
worst movie I've
guess
seen in the past 2 years.
you win.
It is. He also says he's in Mamma Mia. I don't remember him being in that.
I don't either. That's weird. Okay, but anyway, the Polar. I feel like the Polar Express is one that I'm surprised they haven't done a live action remake of it.
Probably too hard to get one actor to play every role.
But I think that the premise is a cool magical idea, and they have trains for kids where you can ride the Polar Express, and they have actors like dancing and performing, and then they bring you the like magical hot cocoa, and that seems really cool. But I think that the biggest problem with Polar Express is that the animation is just super freaky. And there's also one scene that I've seen a lot for some reason on my reels where they forgot to animate one elf. Have you seen this? So all the other elves are like walking,
They forgot
and then
to
there's one
animate
elf
them.
that's just like this, like is frozen, just moving.
That's cool.
So I think yeah, the animation freaks me out, and that is why I just can't watch that movie. So I think a well-deserved win by the Grinch.
Yeah, neither of us, I think, have any great love for it. Just to clarify, all those Tom Hanks movies with the exception of You Got Mail, I think are actually pretty good. I just don't think they're as good as people make out.
Yeah, you're gonna make enemies of all of our
For
listeners.
instance, Saving Private Ryan is like a great like movie, but there's much better war movies out there.
No, there's no good war movies. Okay, next round. The Nightmare Before Christmas lost to It's a Wonderful Life. So we've kind of already discussed those. And Home oh this one this was a big one. Home Alone lost to Elf.
Yeah, I think this is where the bracket really went off the rails for me.
Well, Ewan, I think your favorite Christmas movie Home Alone.
I'm not sure, but it's definitely better than Elf in my opinion, like considerably so.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm thinking maybe next time for the bracket, if we put them on other sides, I think that it's possible those two could have met in the finale. I don't know, maybe Home Alone would have beaten Love Actually. I I personally think I like Elf more than Home Alone, but I do think Home Alone is a very nice Christmas movie. Reminds me of my
I'm
childhood.
kind of interested what someone would say, like what their favorite parts about like Elf are. Because I like the sort of beginning and that like the North Pole is real and there's talking snowmen and narwhals and stuff. Like all that side of it, and like Will Ferrell is this giant elf in contrast to all the small elves. That side of things is quite funny, etc. But really, as soon as he goes into the real world, it's just like a lot of kind of fish out of water. Will Ferrell doing his sort of thing where he's running around screaming, and I do think that's funny to an extent, but I'm surprised people have latched onto it in their adulthoods.
Are you done?
You can do your response now. The rebuttal.
Well, now I've seen Elf so many times that I guess it has lost some of its funniness from the first time that I saw it. But I remember the first few times I saw it, I thought that his interactions with the real world were very funny. And I didn't really used to like Will Ferrell movies very much, but I think he's a very different character in this than he is in other movies. He's like a super optimistic elf man rather than a like, I don't know, just like swearing and
Yeah, well, I would say his Ron Burgundy in Anchorman. I don't think is too dissimilar from Buddy in because they're both completely out of touch with the world they're living in.
yeah, in that way, but they're out of touch in different ways.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. I'm not saying they're the same movie, but I'd be interested if anyone who didn't vote for Elf all the way through to the final doesn't like Anchorman. I'd be interested to see if those people like exist.
Well, and I think that Elf is also a good combination. Well, so is Home Alone. This is why I think they're like two of the best ones. It's a good balance of humor but also like meaningful moments and stuff. Like the part when the dad quits his job and says like up yours.
Hmm.
It's really cute. And then yeah, and then I actually it's kind of embarrassing, but I always cry when when the dad Walter Hobbs starts singing along to the because he's just moving his lips, but then he starts singing along, and then Santa like whooshes over his head. I don't know, and then it's the pretty music, and then everyone believes again. It makes me cry.
No, no, it is good. I do like it. I was surprised that it just continued to beat things. It's like a to me it was like a classic. It was like a Rocky story. It's just like coming up against all these heavyweight boxers and just knocking them out. And we're like, what is happening? That's what I was thinking. I underestimated it. I underestimated it.
Yeah, because it also then beat it. Elf went on to beat It's a Wonderful Life, which I think I probably would have voted. I think I voted for It's a Wonderful Life over Elf, but I'm not that upset that Elf won.
I mean, those are very different. So,
Yeah,
and I also think It's a Wonderful Life probably had two things going against it. One, that it's old, so a lot of people just haven't seen it, and two, that it's in black and white, so a lot of people just won't watch it.
yeah. We tried to watch a colorized version of it. I think there's one on Amazon or something, but it ended up not loading. But I was curious to see if that would change the vibe at all of it because I'm normally if a movie's in black and white, I don't know, it does just feel like it's from another time, so it feels harder to relate to sometimes.
But the fact that you do relate to it probably goes even further to show the strength of its
Exactly,
messaging and
exactly.
themes. Um, I
Maybe
just
best movie ever.
Yeah, before we move on and talk about the other side, we should probably say like Home Alone. I'd be interested to if we'd put up Home Alone 2 instead of Home Alone 1, if it would have gone further.
What?
I'm just
You think people
curious.
like
I think some people like it more. I don't,
no
but
because you know who was in that movie.
yeah, the Pigeon Lady, Piers Morgan.
Yep, that is who. I barely remember Home Alone 2, and I can remember everything that happened, every moment of Home Alone 1.
Yeah. Well, Home Alone 1 is great. I feel like it sort of goes without saying.
Yeah. Did you know there's like 6 or 7 Home Alone movies now?
Yeah, well, Disney own it, so they're going to run it into the ground.
But who watches these new ones?
No one. That's the Disney. Just bit trivia for you. The Of the top 10 box office bombs this year, top five are all Disney properties.
But we love Pixar.
Yeah, well, Elemental did all right. That was its what like basically their only success. So good job, Pixar.
We still need to watch that movie. Yeah, well, the Disney's Wish, I haven't really heard much of anything about. That's their newest movie.
Yeah, it did have a funny trailer though.
Oh yeah. Disney's
Yeah, it was like
Wish.
a real throwback to trailers from the 80s and 90s, which sometimes play when you're hovering over things on Prime Video that have voiceovers. Basically, repeatedly said, buy tickets to Disney's Wish. This is Disney's Wish. Instead of just calling the movie
But not like
Wish,
that. Say it like it did it.
Disney's Wish, or something.
Yeah, that was better.
But the people didn't listen. They didn't buy tickets to Disney's Wish.
Yeah. Maybe other people did that we just don't know.
Someone out there probably saw it.
Someone's seen it. Okay, so moving on, ones that we haven't talked about yet.
Mm-hmm. Well, Love Actually beating Nativity is no surprise, but the real
Yeah.
the battle for my heart, Muppets Christmas
Oh
Carol
no.
versus How the Grinch Stole Christmas. This
Yeah.
was my
This
hardest
this one
decision.
was a sad one for you and
Yeah,
oh, this was hard for you?
yeah, because I really like both. I think the Grinch movie, the live action Grinch, is maybe somewhat controversial because some people really like the original cartoon version. Well, I say original, the
Yeah.
original adaptation, and they're less crazy about Jim Carrey's performance and the sort of expanded Grinch lore that it provides, such as Grinch as a kid in
Yeah.
Whoville. However, I really like it. I think Jim Carrey's acting is very good, and I like his backstory.
You like his backstory?
Yeah, it's weird.
I really like the animated Grinch, but I do like the live action Grinch as well. But the part that I don't really like is his backstory because I just think it's really I don't he looks so weird. Oh, that sounds so mean. But was it you who said that the actor who plays him like actually kind of like as a child actually kind of looks
Yeah, I
like
thought he was under like a
him?
lot of makeup, but I mean, make of it what you will with what I'm about to say, but he didn't have that much makeup on.
And the part where he shaves his face and cuts it
That's sad.
for some reason it always gave me the heebie-jeebies. Oh, there is a funny bit when a baby comes and then some from the storks and then someone's like, "Oh, it looks like your boss." That part was funny. So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of parts that I think are really funny in How the Grinch Stole Christmas. But you love the Muppet Christmas
I
Carol.
know, I voted
You
for
made
that,
me
and it
watch
lost.
it.
I voted for Muppets Christmas Carol, and it lost.
Oh, okay.
The Christmas Carol is, I think, a great story, as in the Charles Dickens version, and there's many, I think, very good adaptations of it. The newest Disney animated one, probably the weakest example of that. However, Muppets Christmas Carol is excellent. I do like the Muppets, whereas Sarah is somewhat inherently biased against them. I think it's quite funny while remaining quite true to the source material. Like they sort of Muppetify it without it completely losing sort of focus. It has a lot of good songs in it. Marley and Marley, a particular one I bond with.
That's
Um,
so random.
Although I do like the opening is good, as well.
Yeah, what about the Mises? What is the
Yeah,
line?
that's the opening. Well, it's even worse for mouses, and then there's no cheeses for us Mises. So just
Oh.
to explain the joke there, they mispronounced the plural of mice twice.
I think I surprisingly liked the Muppet Christmas Carol, and I liked the I thought that I didn't really like the Muppets, but maybe I do.
I think Michael Caine brings a really good performance when he's the only like human character in a movie with a
Yes,
bunch of puppets.
he's very serious throughout.
Yeah. It also has one of the best lines in movie history in it,
What is that?
where Ghost of Christmas Past is taking Scrooge through his Christmases of past, and they go outside the factory where Scrooge used to work, and Michael Caine is made to say that's old Fozzie's rubber chicken factory or something, which always gets a laugh out of me because it's so weird.
That's really random.
Remember there's also the bit where the rat is trying to jump over and then he can just go through the bars. You like that?
Yeah, that bit was funny. All right, so then the Grinch lost to Love Actually, which I was okay with.
Again, they're quite different, so
Yeah, we haven't really talked about Love Actually yet. And I just watched it again on the airplane, and I kind of have mixed feelings. I think because there's so many different storylines, which could be really disjointed and not so good, but I think that it actually does it really well, which I don't even like. I don't know how they did that. I mean, some of the stories I was more interested in than others, but you don't really lose interest or stop remembering what, a certain storyline was. I don't know. Maybe you disagree, but I think it's a surprisingly well done movie.
no, it's good. I mean, it would be interesting to know how people would rank the storylines in Love Actually. I feel like most people's favorite is probably the Prime Minister one.
Yeah. And it is interesting because this is the part that I'm kind of iffy about is most of the relationships are kind of questionable. Like are we rooting for the best friend who's confessing his love to his best friend's wife? Are we rooting for the prime minister who's trying to seduce his young
Is he
female
trying to
staff
seduce? I mean, you'll
member?
remember better than me. Is he trying to seduce her, or do they just kind of have like a connection?
He's not really outwardly trying. I think they just have a lot of sort of sexual tension, but it's clear that it's mutual. As opposed to the president of the United States comes in and I think basically like sexually assaults her, which is
Classic.
not great. But then but then she basically has to apologize to the prime minister for that. I don't know. That was the part that was a little bit weird. I think he just misinterprets it as her
Hmm.
like having a relation, like consensual relations with the U.S. president, who is. Do you know is he supposed to be a particular president?
I'm not sure if we'd be allowed to say, but I can think of one. It would work.
He's not. The U.S. president is not portrayed very nicely. He's a big bully, and then the UK prime minister stands up to the US.
So we're gentlemen over here in the UK.
Right.
I will say I'm really not crazy about that Andrew Lincoln relationship with Keira Knightley and stuff. I think that's kind of over dramatized nonsense, but like it's like a sort of iconic cinema moment, but it's kind of dumb, I think.
Yeah. There's also the bit when she's watched that's kind of iconic when she's watching the movies and then she's like, "Yeah, they're all of me." I've seen that, but it's a dog scrolling through its owner's phone.
Yeah, well that is true. But that would be fair enough. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, yeah, I like it. It's a good movie. And then that faced off against Elf, and I think maybe they're in that one the better Elf one. I think I would choose Elf over.
I would probably choose Elf. I was left with a sort of feeling of not disappointment, but just it was interesting that two of the movies that are probably the most middling for me ended up in the final. But that's fine. It's a democracy after all.
I I was happy with Elf. I think Elf would have probably been in my top. I think it would have been Elf and It's a Wonderful Life as my top two. What would your top two be?
Probably It's a Wonderful Life and Home Alone. But then I'd probably also have Grinch, Muppets Christmas Carol, quite close, and then there'd be a bunch of others that I'd be thinking about. Like in terms of movies that I like, Night Before Christmas and Die Hard would also be up there, whether they're more
What
Christmassy or
about
whatever.
Gremlins?
Uh, I think I like that more than Elf as well, yeah. But is it more of a Christmas movie?
No,
I'm not sure.
no, it's not.
But enough of our opinions for the moment. Now we are going to hear the opinions of some of our listeners. So first up, we have Rita Dawson, who will be talking about Rudolph.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Rita Dawson, and I have with me here my son, Liam. He might add his input if he has any strong feelings. But I'm here today to defend two movies that did not win. Although I will say I did like Elf. That is probably my favorite movie. But I'm here to defend, first of all, Rudolph. Rudolph just did not get the justice that it deserved. It's a classic cartoon that has been famous forever and ever, and it's just a feel-good movie that everyone and their family can watch, and it just got eliminated way too early. So I think everyone needs to give some justice to Rudolph and know that it's just a fabulous classic Christmas story. So justice for Rudolph, that's my team. And then the second one is I'd like to defend A Christmas Story. And the reason I like A Christmas Story is because it shows the classic joys of having children on Christmas, as Liam reaches for the microphone. And see, Liam agrees too. He thinks he's very joyful on Christmas, such as them like getting to pick out the toys that they want. Now, should he want a gun that he'll possibly shoot his eye out with? No, absolutely not. But it's the joy of the kids deciding what they want for Christmas, and then the adorable scenes of like the moms trying to dress the kids out in the snow. And granted, here in California, we never have to dress Liam in that many layers. But the classic joys of like being in the cold winter snow and the kids daring each other and their tongues sticking to the pole. It just has so many classic scenes that I think it deserves to have made it way further as well. Liam? Any additional thoughts? Liam says, goo goo gaga. Merry Christmas.
All right, I guess I'm doing this like a radio show host. So thank you to Rita Dawson for those lovely opinions. Next up, we have my dad, Mitchell Sutter, and he will be talking about It's a Wonderful Life.
Hello, this is Sarah here, and I am here with my dad, who required an introduction. He said that I had to introduce him. So this is Mitchell Lawrence Sutter.
So I'm defending It's a Wonderful Life, and I think it's because it is a great twist on A Christmas Carol. Is that the Dickens?
Yeah.
The Dickens thing, which has been done like a million times. Scrooge people know it as. And it's always the same thing. It's this guy's a jerk, and he comes and the Ghost of Christmas Past, Present, and Future shows him what a jerk he is and how many bad things he's done and how awful things have been because of him. Mm-hmm. This flips it and says, no, you're a good guy. Look at all the good things you've done and look at how bad the world would be if you weren't there. So I think it's like unique in that way. It was modernizing it, although the modernization was for 1950s or 60s.
Yeah, is that modern?
Well, for its time, it was modernizing it. And I just think it's a great story. Jimmy Stewart was really good in it.
Weren't you going to do
Bert and Ernie. I mean, Bert and Ernie from Sesame Street. I think that was the motivation for it. Bert, Ernie, you were there serenading me at my wedding.
Very, very good imitation.
Yeah.
Well, what did it go up against? It lost to Elf. Well.
Oh, I like Elf, actually. So I'm not going to talk bad about Elf.
But you think it should have gone further in the bracket?
It got a bad draw. Put in the wrong bracket, so it couldn't advance.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like it's like in the NCAA bracket, putting the 1 and 2 seeds in the first round instead of getting that easy 15th round seed. Like, I know Nick's going to defend this later, but Die Hard. It's like Christmas movie, to have a Christmas tree or something, right? And,
well, thank you, Dad, for those lovely criticisms of our bracket. Next up, we have, you guessed it, my mom. Yay! She will be defending It's a Wonderful Life. Again, it is a popular one among our family. And she will also be talking about one which was not even in the Christmas bracket because she is a rebel like that. And she is also running for Yolo County Supervisor. So if you happen to live in Yolo County District 4, which includes Davis, California, then you remember to vote for Sheila Allen and tell all your friends.
Hi, I'm Sheila, and I'm Sarah's mom, and the one who came up with popcorn and cumin is how you're supposed to say it. So I am happy to be able to give my response to two Christmas movies. One was not even included, which I thought was inappropriate, is Santa Claus is Coming to Town, because it gives an explanation of so many things about Christmas, like why does he wear a beard? Why does he live at the North Pole? Why do the reindeer fly? It gives you all the answers. But my real favorite movie that I think should have won is It's a Wonderful Life, because it really explains the importance of being involved in your community and caring about other people besides yourself, and how many lives you can touch by just caring. So that's my favorite.
Vote for Sheila.
All right, thank you, Sheila, for those illuminating insights. And finally, we have Mr. Nicholas, who will be talking about Die Hard and why he thinks it is a Christmas movie.
So, why do you think Die Hard is a Christmas movie?
Oh, Die Hard. It's unapologetically a Christmas movie. It takes place on Christmas. Every time the radio's on, there's Christmas carols playing. They wear Santa hats. It's a Christmas movie.
But is the vibe Christmas?
No, it's not like all these cookie cutter Christmas ones that are just, you can swap the elements and they're all the same movie. And so many of the other ones in the tournament were ones that people just grew up watching, that if they had watched the first time as an adult, they would realize it's a dumb movie. This is a action classic set on Christmas. It's the best one.
Thank you, Nick, for your thrilling insights on this matter. One day I'll watch Die Hard and have an opinion about it. And now we have one last addition to the Christmas movie discussion. We have a Jenny who will be talking about The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Hello, my name is Jenny, and I would like to defend Nightmare Before Christmas because I think that that movie should not have been eliminated as early as it was. First of all, I would like to address the discussion about whether or not Nightmare Before Christmas is actually a Christmas movie. I do think that it is potentially slightly more spooky, Halloween-y than Christmassy in vibe. However, it definitely counts as a Christmas movie in my opinion because it literally has Christmas in the title and they do have a whole bunch of Christmas stuff happening. So I think it definitely counts, certainly more than like Die Hard, for example. Anyways, I think that Nightmare Before Christmas is the most artistic out of all of the movies that were voted on. And most other Christmas movies as well. I think that it's beautiful stop motion. The puppets are incredibly well made. The lighting is fantastic. And when you watch the movie, this is what I tell everybody about Nightmare Before Christmas, about why I like it so much, is that you can pause it at any point in the entire movie. Just like close your eyes, spin in a circle, press pause, and whatever frame you paused on, you could like print that out and frame it and put it on your wall. Like every single frame of the movie is a beautiful artistic masterpiece. And it's like perfectly composed and color balanced and everything. It's just artistic masterpiece. And Henry Selick is a genius and he's also really sweet. So I feel like his movie deserves to get more recognition. Like he generally deserves to get more recognition than he does. Anyways, and the message is like nice. It's unique. I feel like the general like stay in your lane, don't try to take over other people's things is not a very common movie message and a much less common Christmas movie message. A lot of Christmas movies are like love your family, and those are good things too, but this one's a unique message, so I like that. Anyways, that's why I think Nightmare Before Christmas is great. Mostly the artistic stuff. That's all. Thank you.
All right, well, that was the battle of the Christmas movies. What a fun time, and thank you to everyone who voted. We were very happy with how many people actually participated.
Good engagement, everyone. You really worked hard. You made a decision between two things, and you clicked the button. Good job. And ultimately, you chose the wrong thing a lot of the time. So.
Oh my goodness.
No, I'm just kidding.
I think you chose the right thing 3/4 of the time, which is pretty good.
Yeah, that's an A in the UK.
That is a C in the U.S., which is still passing. C's get degrees.
Is that saying C's get degrees?
Mm-hmm.
Not as good as Ring by Spring.
True. All these American college sayings. Although Ring by Spring is only at certain colleges nowadays. There was also, my mom's friend likes to say, I think they say it in lessons in chemistry as well. Oh yes. She got her MRS, so Mrs. So where you attend college to find a husband, basically. More of a thing in the olden days when women didn't really get good jobs.
Those days are past now.
Okay. Do you have anything else to say?
I think I'm Christmased out.
This is January 2nd. Now we can finally end the Christmas time.
Yeah. In a true Scrooge way, I'm quite happy to not have to watch any more Christmas movies.
That is very Scrooge-like.
Until next year, and then we can do it all again.
Maybe next year we'll make sure that we watch all of the movies. At least one of us had seen every movie, so that's something.
Like between us, we'd seen every movie? You mean?
Yeah.
Okay. That sounded like a sort
At
of
least
passive...
one of us had seen every movie.
But the way I interpreted you saying that was like, well, at least one of us had seen every movie.
No, it wasn't sassy.
Hard to tell with you, Sass.
No sass here. Okay. Well, with that, we wish you all a happy 2024.
And a Merry Christmas, as the song goes. But not a happy one.
I think it's the other way around.
No.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Okay. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.